Welcome, stellar people, to Artist Bootcamp for Beginners. And today is Fantasy on Saturday, the 14th. But this is going to be the start of Freestyleaganza. I don't know. Because we're going to go today, tomorrow. The prompt is fantasy. But then we also continue freestyle into the remaining 3 days of this bootcamp. And more or less, it's going to be some personal stuff, some just drawing and whatnot. But we're going to try to put some of this all into this, right? Because this is what we want to do. We don't want to just draw shapes, heads and hands, mannequins, anatomy, sculpture, gesture, and figure drawing. We want to put it all together into what we like. So let's start it by first, since the theme is fantasy, I'm going for, there's a lot that goes into making a world feel real. And I'd like to put real world, like costuming and real world places, and then put those and transport them into this fantasy world to make the fantasy feel more real. But for this weekend, I'll be doing fantasy. Right. And so, right, these are the Ethereans. They are known for technological marvels, and their city is the City of Light. But their military are the Skull Knights. They are the most technological people, and they have made an empire of the whole continent of Yalanor. They aren't looked on highly, especially their military, as they expanded. But the idea for me has always been, I like this idea of their knights almost look menacing and evil, like they're all draped in black. Metal accents that look like bones. So they call them the Army of Death. They have these helmets, and in the helmets have a skull shape within it. And I always like this idea. And their swords of the royalty are crystal swords. So I want to draw something like this for this fantasy. This is what I'll be doing. But to aid in this, using some reference. So as a reference for the Skull Knight, we have the skeleton. I'll also be doing some of the mannequin. And this is a way to jumpstart ideas, right? You get reference from various places, and you try to figure out where it can help you to make better images. I also have Horatio as the skull model for the Skull Knight. So let's do some drawing, shall we? How am I exactly going to do this? Should I do the drawing of the skull first? But of course, you can draw whatever you wish. So let's try to draw it. And like usual, we'll drop this back. We'll take this layer, we'll duplicate it. Layer, duplicate layer. Cha-cha. Turn off the original. Take this one, and we'll, because this is what we're going for. Here. So let's take let's see. Got the cranium. We have the cheekbones going into the teeth. We have the nasal cavity. And we have the eye sockets. the other eye socket. We have the mandible. And the mandible, but well, this is part of the skull. Mandy. Let's make some, give it some detailing. We don't need all of it, we're just trying to get an idea, an indication of what we're going for. We good? We good. Let's lasso this. Transform. Return. Command D to deselect. Now let's make another. I've always liked this one. Yeah. Because you get all that scully goodness. If that, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Let's name this skull just skull front. Just so we know. New layer. Now we good. We good. Comes out for the brow ridge. Comes in. Comes out again for the cheekbone. Comes into the upper teeth. Yeah. And this part is the skull proper. Got another cheek. We have all this. And the mandible. Got all these teeth. More teeth. And this is the starting blocks of making stuff. What can make an image better? Got the eye sockets. Eye sockets. Got the orbital bone coming in. I've got upper teeth. How could I forget the upper teeth? Now, yes. Okay, so now we have skull 3/4. Three Q. We also lasso this Swooshy swoosh. And Command T for the transform. And return. Deselect. Okay, so we have another skull. Now, let's borrow Mr. Manny. We could take this one or this one. We'll take this one. All right. So now that we have this, we can Command T to transform and say you have a character that you want to manipulate. Oh, first. Always duplicate it and keep the original just in case you want to go back. Okay, so shift, grab one of the handles and you can all over the place. So if you want them thinner, if you want them thicker, a little bit thick, like that. Okay. Move that down with the arrow keys. Hit return. Let's fade him back. V40. Sure. Top of the stack. And for a new layer, I should probably add, which is B for the brush tool. And let's just get a rough. All right, we just want the basic shape. Trapezius, deltoid, tricep, brachioradialis, bicep, extensors, flexors, latissimus dorsi, external obliques, latissimus dorsi, external hip. This is dominant leg, thigh. We got the vastus lateralis, gracilis, patella, vastus lateralis. And why we're doing this is just to get our ideas out. This is just a jump start. And if you've, found your mannequins from the internet, and you want a quick body, bicep, extensors and flexors. This is a great starting point. Handsies. And I still don't know exactly what the helmets look like, because I want them slightly futuristic, but something like a motorcycle helmet. So it'd be something like this. And then it kind of goes. So you can clearly see the skull underneath. Or it looks like a skull within the helmet, even though there's a person. It's like holographic or something. So that's, all right, we can take skull 3/4. We can duplicate it. Yes. And then, are we on that? Yes. Command T, move it into position, get it down to about the approximate size. It's just a mock-up. And then we have, say, the helmet on top. We have the helmet that sits on top of that. And of course, black armor. Have you noticed how many empires, they always drape them in black? I always thought that was right. It's like even Darth Vader, he was the first one shown. Well, not the first one. The stormtroopers were first, but when you see the leader, you're like, okay, that's kind of menacing. I kind of like that. So anyways, the armor will have pieces on it, right? It's all black, but it has metal that simulates the skull, like this. So if I was, to simulate okay, you need a name because I'm gonna forget. Skull Knight. B for the brush tool. So what do I want? Do I want like clavicle, like metal? Because it has to be defensive. Hence why it's armor. Maybe maybe the sternum is also like a metal. And then there's simulations of, right, a rib cage. I don't know. Right. I don't know. I should probably look at armor and see where the most, armored places are. Something. I always like this cape that's like bat wings because it's cool. And yeah, so like kneecaps, the femur. So like the femur would almost be like the sartorius. but it protects the wearer from being cut off at the legs. This metal is super hard. Something that simulates kind of the pelvis. Also metal. Maybe a belt. Also, I could probably look at Batman to see how Batman is, kept safe from harm. I don't know. But there's like a patellar tendon or a shin metal. And on the back, of course, there'd have to be some kind of spine, metal protector, or something like that. Or maybe, oh no, yeah. You'd have to have heavier protection for your limbs, right? Because that would be the most in danger of being severed. But the feet look like, the skull feet. Kind of, sort of. Maybe some kind of shin thing. Maybe some gauntlets. But something like this. I would probably make this more here. Yeah. Right, and you can do many iterations of a thing just as concept. Right? This is a quick mock-up. What if I want to go another direction? I can, do this as many times. On your personal work, if you have if you're on a team and you got to get the thing done, Right, you get approval and you move on to the next phase. So yeah, maybe the armor protects something, but what about I figured this part would be the most vulnerable for stabbing, like it's stabbed. But maybe a hard cheek casing for the pectoralis, maybe. Maybe it's just some kind of hard shell that comes like a football. Yes, maybe like a football protection where it goes over and maybe attaches here. And maybe there's shoulder things. Maybe. This is just ideas to get started. 50. And the idea that it's all dark, right? Because they're the evil, well, not evil, but they're the empire. And what's more imposing than all black? Except for the skull head. Yes. And the highlights, right? So if we have the eraser tool and some things would be metal and reflective for protection. And maybe the hands would also have like articulate fingers that actually look like skull hands. All right. Maybe something like this. Clavicle. Would it be like some kind of... But yeah, that's the idea. It needs work, of course, but I know this is the idea that I've always had. I'm sure, skull iconography is relatively popular. Who doesn't think skulls are so metal? I don't know. But yeah, this is like a mock-up of the idea that I'm going for. Using a mannequin, a skull, and just some imagination to get an idea that we can refine later and whatnot. But yeah. And that will be, I think, it for tonight.